This story is about how a seemingly safe town failed to protect a child, how trust and routine allowed danger to hide in plain sight, and how silence and misplaced comfort led to an irreversible loss. But before we proceed, the injustice didn't arrive screaming or crashing through doors. It arrived quietly, disguised as an ordinary night. In a town that believed nothing truly terrible could happen, because nothing ever had before. One small decision, one moment of trust, and a child was gone. Briar Hollow was the kind of town people described as safe without thinking twice. Streets curved gently, houses stood close together, and neighbors recognized each other by face instead of name. It was a place where parents felt comfortable letting their children stay outside a little longer, because danger always felt like something that existed somewhere else. That evening, the air was cold but calm. Streetlights flickered on one by one, stretching shadows across the pavement. Laughter drifted faintly through open windows. Everything felt familiar. Everything felt normal. Lena Harper had been outside most of the day. She moved more carefully than other children her age. Her steps measured, practiced through years of effort. But her spirit was stubborn and bright. She loved her bike, loved the feeling of motion, loved the sense of freedom that came from being outside. When her mother called her in, Lena begged for just a little more time, a few more minutes. She promised to stay close. She promised she wouldn't wander. Promises children make because they believe the world is listening. Her parents hesitated, scanning the familiar street, the houses they knew, the neighbors who had watched Lena grow up. Nothing looked dangerous. Nothing felt wrong. So they agreed. Lena rolled her bike back into the fading light, unaware that this was the last ordinary moment of her life. Minutes passed, then more minutes. At first, concern was mild, the kind that disappears when a child reappears laughing. But when Lena didn't return, the feeling changed. Her name was called into the quiet street. No answer came back. Panic didn't explode. It crept in. Neighbors were asked. Other children were questioned. Stories didn't line up. Someone mentioned a vehicle. Someone mentioned a man. Someone said Lena had stopped riding her bike. By the time police arrived, flashing lights painting the houses red and blue, the truth was already forming beneath the fear. This was no longer a simple case of a child who wandered too far. By morning, Briar Hollow felt unrecognizable. Fear rearranges familiar places, turning comfort into suspicion. Search teams spread through fields and wooded paths, calling Lena's name until their voices cracked. Dogs followed scents that faded too quickly. Flashlights swept across damp grass and empty spaces. Then they found the bike. It lay on its side near a narrow path at the edge of the neighborhood. Yellow paint dulled with dirt. One handle twisted slightly, as if dropped in a hurry. A bike without its rider is never just an object. It's a question that no one wants answered. From that moment, everything shifted. Officers spoke carefully, choosing words meant to steady rather than alarm. But their eyes told the truth. Children don't leave their bikes behind unless something forces them to. Time stopped being neutral. Every passing minute mattered. The town responded by showing up. Volunteers arrived from nearby areas. People who didn't know Lena but felt responsible anyway. Hope clung to them, fragile but persistent, even as hours turned into days. And then hope began to change. Rumors spread quietly at first. Whispers about cars, about people seen too often in places they didn't belong, about moments that had felt insignificant at the time, but now replayed endlessly in guilty minds. Police interviews intensified. Doors opened more slowly. Familiar faces were re-examined. Trust fractured under pressure, replaced by a careful distance that settled into everyday life. Lena's parents lived suspended between hope and dread, replaying every decision, every moment, searching for a mistake they could undo. Sleep disappeared. Time lost meaning. Their world narrowed to one unbearable question. Where was their child? And slowly, the investigation turned inward. Because some details refused to disappear, patterns began to form. Someone knew the area too well. Someone had been nearby more than once. Someone had a reason to be there without raising suspicion. The idea that the danger might have come from within the town itself changed everything. By the final stage of the search, Briar Hollow felt like a place holding its breath. Crowds thinned as exhaustion set in, but the weight of what was happening only grew heavier. Hope didn't vanish all at once. It faded slowly, painfully, until people stopped asking when Lena would be found and started asking how they would live with what they already feared. Police focus narrowed. Conversations became quieter. Names were written down more carefully, and the person at the center of that focus did something that unsettled everyone. They stayed calm. They didn't run. They didn't panic. They continued their routine as if nothing had changed. That calm didn't feel like innocence. It felt rehearsed. Investigators returned to places they had already searched, this time with different eyes. What once felt harmless now felt staged. What once felt normal now carried weight. And then the waiting ended. The confirmation came quietly, delivered without comfort because there was no gentle way to carry it. Lena was no longer missing. She was gone. The town gathered in silence, pulled together by grief that words couldn't reach. Parents held their children closer. Doors locked earlier. Briar Hollow learned too late that familiarity is not protection. The investigation continued, shifting from searching to accountability. But knowing the truth didn't undo what had been done. It didn't erase the guilt shared by everyone who believed this could never happen here. Briar Hollow would never return to what it was. That version of the town ended the night Lena rode her bike into the fading light. What remained was a place forever, marked by the cost of misplaced trust and the unbearable knowledge that evil doesn't need chaos to thrive. It only needs opportunity and silence. If you've reached this point, like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to stay notified whenever we uncover another hidden story.